Chang Wook and Shin Hye son announced big news before the headlines woke, before the rumors took flight, before the world leaned closer to read by the glow of its light. Two stars stood quietly under Seoul's silvered sky, where secrets learn patience and promises learn how to fly. The city was humming, the night breathing slow, when destiny whispered, "Now's the moment, let go." Chang Wook, carved from thunder, from fire, from fight, with eyes full of stories that burned through the night, and Shin Hye son, a miracle stitched out of grace, with galaxies sleeping inside her calm face. They walked through their journeys on parallel roads, carrying triumphs, carrying heavy old loads, never knowing the moment, the time, or the sign when their separate stars would perfectly align. Then the news broke softly yet loud as a drum, like lightning deciding the storm time had come. A message, a statement, a shimmer of truth sent ripples through fandom, nostalgia, and youth. Not screamed, not forced, not chasing renown, but steady and certain, laid gently down. Big news, they called it, and big it would be, the kind that rewrites what tomorrow might be. The cameras remembered their first shared glance, how silence between them once learned how to dance. On sets soaked in moonlight, in scripts soaked in fate, their chemistry waited, refusing to wait. Every line they delivered rang deeper than sound. Every pause was a promise the world hadn't found. Fans felt it early, that tremor, that spark, like a match being struck in the soft of the dark. Chang Wook smiled, the kind born of peace, not the smile of a man chasing sudden increase. This was grounded, rooted, unshaken, and true, a smile that said, "I know what I'm doing, I choose." Shin Hye's son stood glowing, unafraid, alone, like a queen who had finally claimed her own throne. No masks, no riddles, no runaway tone, just clarity standing there, fully grown. They spoke of timing, of seasons, of trust, of roads paved with patience, with hope, and with dust. They spoke of respect that survives every test, of learning when silence can say things the best. Not rushed by the clock, not chased by the crowd, not softened for favor, not trying too loud. Just two souls agreeing the moment was right to step into daylight from years of soft night. The industry paused, every screen seemed to stare, as if stories themselves stopped to listen and care. Because this was no rumor dressed up as a tease, no strategy written to trend and to please. This was grown, this was real, this was steady and kind, the rare kind of headline that quiets the mind. A love or a promise, or chapter untold, but whatever it was fearless and bold. Flashback the years, to their separate climbs, to battles with doubt, to relentless timelines. Chang Wook running through shadows and flame, transforming through roles, reshaping his name. A soldier, a healer, a man torn apart. Each character carved deeper truth in his heart. Every fall taught him how stronger feels. Every scar taught him what real love heals. Shin Hye's sun rising like dawn after rain, turning soft-spoken scenes into unforgettable pain. From laughter to sorrow, from silence to scream, she bent every role to the depth of her dream. She didn't just act, she became. She survived. She made broken women feel vividly alive. Each tear was a language, each smile a vow, that she would be honest then, later, and now. So when they stood there, side by side, this wasn't impulse, this wasn't a tide. This was years of becoming, of losing, of gain, of learning what matters, of choosing through pain. And the fans felt relief instead of shock, like watching two gears finally fit in the clock. Because some news doesn't fracture or tear, it settles the air, makes the future feel fair. Social media bloomed like 1,000 roses, with laughter, with tears, with poetic poses. Finally, they whispered. It always made sense. This feels like a story with genuine tense. Edits were born in the glow of the night, clips stitched with music, with hope, with light. But beyond every hashtag, beyond every cheer, was a quiet respect there's safe here. They didn't reveal everything only enough, because real-life chapters aren't written in fluff. No overexposure, no dramatic display, just a promise to walk forward day after day. Whether love, partnership, future unseen, they let the truth breathe in the space in between. And that restraint spoke louder than noise, like a bell that rings once, then destroys all decoys. Critics searched angles, predictions, and schemes, but couldn't corrupt what was built on real dreams. Because when two artists announce from their core, the truth stands taller than gossip ever could roar. This wasn't a stunt, not a borrowed headline, but a moment where art and real life intertwine, where characters fade and the humans remain, choosing courage over comfort, truth over fame. In the soft echo after the statement was done, the world didn't feel heavier, it felt like dawn. Like watching two travelers finally rest, knowing the road ahead won't demand they pretend. Chang Wook steady, reflective, and sure. Shin Hye Sun luminous, honest, and pure. Two names, two journeys, now sharing one frame. Not losing themselves, not changing their flame. And maybe that's why this news hit so deep, why even the cynics felt something to keep. Because in an era of chaos and speed, they chose intention, and that's what we need. A reminder that love, or whatever they named, doesn't have to be loud to be beautifully claimed. It can walk in its rhythm, unbroken, unforced, guided by choice, not driven by course. Tonight, somewhere under that same soul sky, two stars still shimmer as questions drift by. But answers don't hurry, and futures don't shout. They unfold like a poem you slowly read out. And whatever this chapter grows into with time, it already feels honest, grounded, and prime. A story still writing, no need to rush through, because the best scenes arrive when they're true. So here's to the headline, the hush, and the spark, to the courage of stepping from shadow to mark. Here's to Chang Wook, to Shin Hye Sun's light, to a moment that made the whole fandom breathe right. Big news, yes, but bigger in meaning than sound. A rare kind of story where hearts feel found. And as the lights fade and the echoes subside, one truth remains steady, some stars don't collide. They align. The moment before the world knew, before the statement breathed, before the ink went dry, there was a quiet hour the world passed by. No cameras watching, no headlines in sight, just a room holding truth like a candle at night. Chang Wook leaned back, the city low and wide, its neon reflections like thoughts he couldn't hide. Shin Hye Sun stood near the window's soft glow, where courage was trembling but ready to show. This was the space where decisions are born, not dressed up in glamour, not sharpened by scorn. The air felt heavier, rich with intent, like time itself paused on what courage meant. They didn't rehearse it, didn't script the tone, because real announcements are carved in bone. This wasn't about noise or chasing applause, but honoring truth without footnotes or flaws. Chang Wook remembered the weight of the past, how every small rumor learned how to last. He knew what it meant when a name starts a trend, how strangers feel licensed to break, judge, and bend. Yet he also remembered the cost of delay, of hiding bright truths just to keep storms away. And he knew, in that pause thick with breath, that silence too long can feel like a theft. Shin Hye Sun felt steadier, calm but aware, like a woman who's learned what's worth her care. She'd lived in characters fragile and torn. She'd worn grief like silk. She'd worn hope like dawn. But this was hers, unscripted and real. No director to cut when emotions reveal. She understood power that doesn't command, the strength of a truth spoken gently, unplanned. Outside, soul kept moving, unaware, alive, taxis like comets learning how to survive. Coffee shops closing, streetlights humming low, while inside that room, a future said hello. They sure looked no drama, no fear, just the rare kind of trust that grows year by year. It said, we're ready. Whatever they see, we'll carry it honestly. You and me. The phone lay waiting, quiet and still, a small glass mirror to the world's will. One message, one release, a carefully phrased line, but the meaning beneath, it was vast, undefined. Not everything promised, not everything shown, just enough to say, this truth is our own. Because some stories bloom best when half told, when mystery protects what's fragile in gold. They spoke one last time, not of fear, not of doubt, but of boundaries, balance, and what life's about. Of waking up human, not headlines or roles, of keeping their art and protecting their souls. They agreed on the silence they'd still maintain, on choosing their joy without borrowing pain. This wasn't retreat, and it wasn't disguise, it was knowing what deserves guarded skies. When a moment arrived, it didn't explode, it flowed like a river that knows its own road. The message went out simple, composed, no dramatic confession, no doors forced open or closed. And instantly, somewhere, a ripple was born, spreading through timelines before the next morn. But inside that room, there was only release, the deep, steady feeling that comes with peace. Chang Wook exhaled, a soft kind of sound, like a warrior finally setting shields down. Shin Hye's son smiled not wide, not loud, but certain, unshaken, quietly proud. This was the victory no trophy could claim, choosing truth without bargaining with fame. No fireworks needed, no scripted delight, just two people stepping forward into light. They didn't celebrate, they simply stayed, letting the moment settle, letting courage be paid. Because some wins are silent, internal, and deep, the kind you carry when the world's asleep. And as the night leaned closer to morning's first hue, they knew something rare had already come true. Whatever the world decided to say or assume, they had honored themselves in that quiet room. This was part one, the breath before the roar, the unseen step across a life-changing floor. Before opinions rose and narratives grew, there was just intention, steady and true. And that's where this story truly begins, not in noise, not in fame, not in who wins, but in a moment of courage, calm, and control where two stars chose honesty and protected their soul.